shot.
Go to two shot.
Go to the two shot. Let's see. I don't think we got a Dave and an Andrew shot. Let me see. Two are waiting already. That's amazing.
All right.
So let me see. Go here. And then let's go up here. We are live. Hello, Dave.
Yeah, true. All right.
Good. We are all here. Alima is helping Dan enter the premises as we speak. So
welcome everyone.
Welcome.
We hope you had a great and happy, healthy Thanksgiving last week.
Yeah.
You know, we were all off. So here comes Dan.
This is excellent. This is
Can you get in?
And this is what we wanted. We want
authentic.
Hey, impromptu, yeah.
Dan swung by. Alima was already here, but
Hey everyone.
She's got let in. All right. Perfect.
So we haven't even broached the topic yet, but we're just
Okay,
gonna get there.
good.
We just talked a little bit about, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving kind of thing. So.
yeah, let me just I'll tell you what, you do your thing. I'm just gonna
All
go
right.
check that we're all
All right, so this was Alima's idea. She brings up a great idea. I want to talk about like what you were thinking as you were coming up with the idea. You had several things that were kind of in the same basket.
Yeah, so again, it's cold, it's dark earlier. The holidays usually bring up a lot of things for people when it comes to loss and anniversaries of things.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, seasonal affective disorder is a thing, right? So I've been dealing with anxiety, depression my whole life. And I think that a lot of people feel as though it's just them. So for me, I felt that this was a really good topic to approach because I think a lot of people are feeling it now. With the new strain of COVID coming and here and present, people are feeling different about things possibly being taken back away from them. So I felt that it was something that was appropriately.
Yeah, so with that in mind, the idea of seasonal affective disorder, just kind of taking a step away from that, getting into more of like a broad scope of just this time of year or just the idea of, how we're kind of almost like a check-in, like how is everybody feeling like now? Like what's going on now? I think that's kind of the important thing. So what we did was we kind of called it like a seasonal change poll, and we had 700, and I think it was on 720 responses. And this was put out this morning, so we had all this just gathered today. So some of the questions we had, lately I find myself hoping someone would check in on my mental health more than usual, to which we had 41% either say agree or strongly agree. So that's a pretty high number about people who said, almost like to your point, Alima, about people are feeling some type of way and they feel like they need to talk to somebody. It could be holidays. It could be, and I mentioned a lot of them in their personal responses put things like the end of the trimester. They're worried with that, their grades. It does make people think about lost family members and friends because of the holiday season as well. The cold, the early darkness. There's a lot of different things there, but we can go into the specifics of each one later. But next one was, I believe it's common for a person's mood to be affected when the seasons change, and there were 68% who either agreed or strongly agreed with that. So you're talking about 2/3 would agree with the idea of a seasonal affective disorder. During this time of year, I generally, and then it was feel the most positive, feel more positive than normal, feel the same, feel more negative than normal, or feel the most negative. And for the negative responses, it was, around like 35%. So a little bit more than a third feel more negative or the most negative from that. And a lot of them were in that kind of middle range. They weren't at the extremes, most of them. It was between like more positive, the same, which is the most, and then more negative, but not quite the extremes of like this is the best or this is the worst. During this time of year, I am, and then this one was more social, less social, or the same level of social. So most people, 60% said they're the same level. 18.6% said they're more social, and then about 21.4% said less social. So it's kind of like a balance there. That one didn't really produce all that much other than people saying at 21% saying they're less social. So that's almost a quarter of them were feeling maybe a little lonelier this time of year. When I think about the holiday season, my main emotion is that, and there was several options, but the most common option is 58.5% said I'm excited. And that could be for a plethora of reasons, whether it's the holiday itself or whether it's just off from school or whatever it is. A lot of them also said they don't feel any different. Some people said they're sad, and some people are stressed. Only 11.7 said they're stressed. And then there was a number of other kind of fill-in answers. And then the last thing that we had as far as like a multiple option question was, which of the following impact your mood negatively this time of year? Click all that apply. So we had things like the change to colder weather, 40% identified that. Gets darker earlier, about 61% said that. End of the trimester, 60% said that. Snow, 10%. I think because they're kids, they don't have to deal with the shoveling, I guess, as
Yeah.
much. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, I agree.
And then what else was there? Gift giving, only 5% have an issue with that, and then spending more time with family, 11%, or 82 kids said they don't really look forward to that. And then there was a number of different things that again were write-ins about, like, maybe more tests, allergies, death anniversary, football finishing. So it could be a number of different things that were on their mind. And then the last question that we posed, which was an open-ended, was just write how you feel this time of year, and then why do you feel that way. We can get into some of the specifics later. But just, I think it's a great point by Lima to bring up this topic, because it is that idea of checking in with them as it gets colder and darker, and people get a little maybe more isolated, and the fear, as you said, of the new variant could be something that, a lot of things going on in the lives of everyone, but specifically the students.
I think the other thing about it is, like, with the fear of the new variant and what's going to happen with schools. Like, I know that a lot of people are vaccinated, but I think that the kids are, enjoying being back and happy
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah,
So that whole feeling of, like, what if that's taken away from me? And so many of the kids that a year has already been taken, or things have already gone, and what that's like for them, and the stress of not knowing what's coming. So I think that that's something that's definitely affecting them right now.
Yeah, look, I mean, not to take away, we're live. I've started paying for a new service, so we're going out to Facebook and also YouTube. But of course, there's a disconnect somewhere. It's recording. We're going to carry on doing the show, and if worst case scenario, we're live somewhere, but it's being recorded on our computer anyway. So yeah, look, I mean, for me, this time of year is a time of happiness. I think a lot of times we're in tune with, it's an observation, it's not a fact or anything like that. But for me, because this was the time of year that I was born in, and I've come to love Thanksgiving, and I've got people around me that love me. It's just the holidays for me. I'm lucky, and I react that way, and I get a little bit excited inside when it's cold or it gets darker earlier. I'm sure there's some chemical imbalances going on. There always is with me, but for myself personally, it's a positive time of year.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's a balance there. I'm a big light person. I'm a big daylight person because I like to be outside. So I think if you're the type of person that spends a lot of time outside, I could see the less daylight every day kind of affecting your mood. But it's kind of a trade-off, because I really do like the holidays. I could see somebody who is an outside person but also had a problem with the holidays getting kind of lumped up this time of year. Because to me, it's kind of a trade-off. So, you know what? I'm going to spend less time outside. So maybe I'm a little bummed about that. But I'm big on the holidays. I'm big on family. But if you don't have that, then you're really just getting hit twice, I think.
Go ahead. I know I'm over loud.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I thought you were going to give me something
No,
like
go ahead.
along.
Go.
Well, I think it depends on what your individual lifestyle is, as Dan was mentioning, but it's also kind of like where you are in your life at the time too. So I remember, probably the same thing for you, Lima, when you're in high school, it's basketball season, right? So it's like, that's, you're getting ready to go, you're getting back into the gym, and the other things about outdoors and whatever don't really matter as much, because you have something to keep you busy. And that's something that you could look forward to if you're somebody who plays like a winter sport, for example. Whereas maybe if you were a fall sport person, now you have this new schedule of now what do I do with my time? And I was busy since August and now I'm not. So there's a lot of different things from that angle as well. But I always feel like I do also get a shift in mood. And I am aware of that over the last few years. So what I try to do is be more proactive about it. So I just kind of say, all right, as a teacher, what can I plan to teach during this time that would kind of allow me to be happier, like something that's going to be more upbeat. So what I try to do is plan transcendentalism in the junior curriculum is all like very positive, self-reflective, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like get away from materialism. It's all very S.E.L. really. So and I'm teaching that with the kids, and I have them. They're not on their laptops. You know, they're not. They're just. I give them copies of the information. They read it in class. There's a lot more like just quiet. I'm not giving any quizzes, no tests, no graded assignments for the last for this week and even next week really, except for just they're doing a project right now, which is to try to be more transcendentalist. I try to be more self-reflective and that kind of stuff, self-reliant. Spend some time outdoors in nature, reject the urge to be on technology and things like that. So I find that it lifts up my mood because I'm teaching something that is elevates the mood automatically.
Yeah.
And when the students start to have responses that they kind of say, oh, this is pretty cool, or I like this, or I'm learning something, then it works even more. So you have to just, and the same thing, I decorate the house, you know, the kids are excited. So even that, like the kids being excited about, you know, the holidays is something else, like Elf on the Shelf, whatever it is, like little things that you say. You know, so all the little things that you can do to kind of counteract your tendency and your urge to feel negative, you should do. Even as for gifts, a lot of the times I'll do like nostalgic things. I'll look at like make photo albums and stuff like that, and that's even a mood lifter. So you got to just think about ways you can counteract the colder days and the earlier darkness and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that you can do actually. Even, you know, this kind of ties in with going to bed and being on your phone all night. You know, your body is kind of fighting against the will to go to sleep with the artificial light. There's a lot of conflicting studies that kind of conflict with each other. That you know, the blue light, the in through your eyeballs and messes with your it messes with your
Blue light?
Blue light. So you get like blue light glasses. So you're wearing red lenses, basically, like orange glasses. Oh, dude.
For what?
Dave Asprey. You got to look up Dave Asprey.
I don't do that.
I don't know what's happening.
Bulletproof radio. And it's about, to be truly healthy, one of the things they recommend is you get up with the sunlight, and then, which, forget it right now with the, you know.
You sleep all day.
Yeah, you sleep all day. And then ideally you go to bed when the sun goes down. You know, then your body's in rhythm with the circadian rhythm, and it's just better for you all round. But even, you know, even when the sun's out late and it's up early in the summer, you go to bed and you're on your phone, and you know, that kind of ties into all of this. And the students do that by default. They literally got their phones, you know, that far away from their heads underneath the pillow. And each year I try and read them the riot act and just say, guys, this is what we know so far. We don't know too much because phones are relatively new, but give it like another 10 years, 5 years. I think we're going to start to see a lot of, like, these phones are literally meant to be like away from our heads, not resting on it. You're not meant to be using it as a pillow. And even in the fine print when you buy a phone, Dan's here. Even when you buy a phone, in the fine print is like, it tells you need to keep it a certain. But anyway, we went a little bit left field there, but it's all related.
Just so you know, I'm getting messages saying that it says we're still waiting to be on the thing.
So this is what I'm saying. So I bought this new service. It said stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. We are recording. All this is being recorded. But if I derail the show just to kind of get it right, we've already, you know, so I say we just keep going.
All right. We're not going to have.
Fair enough.
I don't know what's going to happen. I've not been in this situation before, and yet I have.
But no one's viewing us right now. Like, you can't see. Yeah. So they just won't be.
So the people who are waiting are still waiting.
Yeah.
They're going to continue waiting.
So I can just tell them.
I'm gonna. do something on Facebook just to say. But anyway,
But going back to it, right? So while you fix that and you tell people that we're sorry, you can see
All
our
right, I'm
beautiful
listening.
faces
Yeah.
later. Thinking going back to the holidays and how it's affecting people. Like some people, it's loss and grieving, but also think about kids because I was speaking to one of my students the other day that have like eating disorders and things
Yeah.
like that. Going to their Thanksgiving with their families who they believe in their cultural like aspect, eating is their love, and if
Right.
they're not eating for whatever reason, it's always like an issue, and not wanting to overeat. Like I find that my kids are very sensitive about that, the ones that are dealing with that, like that aspect, eating disorders, their body image and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's another aspect that like
Yeah,
you don't
because
really
so
think
much.
about.
Yeah, Olivia, you're making a great point. So much of the holidays is it really does center around food, and it's not. I mean, I think at most houses, if you're having a holiday meal, it's not grabbing something to eat. It's we're spending a big chunk of our day at the table in front of food, and if you've got an issue with food, that's got to be like under the spotlight for hours at a time.
Well, it kind of starts probably with like Halloween with all the candy around, right? And
Yeah.
then it's Thanksgiving right around the corner, and that's like a gluttonous event.
Right.
And then it's the leftovers of that, and then now it's pie season and whatever else, right? It's like chocolates again, and then it's like the advent calendars and people.
Yeah.
And candy canes.
Yeah, candy
All
canes.
of the candy canes.
Right. It's like there's so much of that, like, and again, that mixed with wearing heavier clothes and things like that, people, it's very difficult. I know even for myself, it's like very difficult. That's like not the diet time, right? It's like you just have it's hard to be motivated during that time because again, even with the days getting shorter, it's colder, it's harder to get out, whatever. If you're somebody who goes to the gym, like, I'm not getting out today, it's too cold, or what, there's so many things where you just kind of wind up becoming, even as a lot of the students even recognize, saying like tired and drained. Like those words came up quite a bit in their responses about just like, I'm not motivated. I feel exhausted, and it's not from anything that they're doing. It's just like an overall feeling that's kind of like just looming over.
Yeah, and when it's cold, I mean, even just getting out of bed in the morning, just based on temperature.
Yeah.
Not even just tiredness. The idea that, oh gosh, I'm under the covers, I'm warm, the alarm went off, and
I'm gonna hit snooze 5 more times.
Yeah, I'm not a fit person, but I've been hitting snooze.
yeah, and then I'm gonna go out there and stand on a bus stop for X amount of
Yeah,
time.
a lot of them talked about that too.
That's got to be pretty rough.
yeah, I this whole thing's throwing me. But anyway, so it's I'm just amazed with the responses we got. Look, I want to have a bit of a serious word right now. One of the things that Mellow is all about is we're trying to keep this all anonymous. But during the process of keeping this anonymous, we end up with dilemmas, right? So we've got some responses that, to be quite honest, are a little bit troubling and just concerning. And it makes us question, okay, is there any way that we can track down individuals and get them the help that they need? And really there isn't. So all we can say is, and I think it needs to carry on this week, because we don't want to secretly track and then, we got you, now we can get you the help that we need. We don't want it to be a gotcha situation. But if there's any way that you need to, or you can reach out to myself, Miss Put Up over here, at school, we know it's pretty much our school students, even though it's live to the public. We're pretty sure that 99.99% of the responses are our students. So if you are feeling that you need some assistance, it doesn't need to be this big and heavy thing. Just reach out. You got some friends here just by default. This is what we're here for, and this is why we're doing this. Yes, we might need to refer to specific individuals or what have you, so you get the help you need. But if you did reach out and expressing words that, if anyone else would read, would be a bit concerning, reach out to us. We're here, all right? So my email is ajones@PCTI, and then the rest. And we got Miss Put Up, we got Mr. Ritchie, and Mr. Ambrose as well. So look, just reach out to us or go to guidance or the counselors. I mean, what's it like?
I'm gonna check in.
Yeah.
So Don't forget, you each have a school counselor, especially if you're at our school. You just have to shoot an email. And if you're in crisis, all you need to do is come down. Like, you don't need to send an email. You don't need to let us know you're coming. You can speak to any one of us, whoever you feel comfortable with, right? So say that I am not your school counselor, but you feel comfortable and you've been watching, you want to talk to me. I am there to help you, right? We're going to help you as best as we can. And if that means that we have to get you outside help, that's what we'll do. But the biggest thing is that you're coming and you're trying to get the help that you need. So please do not hesitate, right? Don't feel bad about it. Don't question it. Come down and talk to someone. That's what we're there for.
And if I can add to what you guys are saying, and I just want to say to those students, to those people out there, you've already, congratulations, you've already taken your first step. If you've responded to Mr. Ritchie's survey,
yeah.
You've taken that initial step. If you're watching this podcast right now and listening to us, you're making headway. Right, you're moving in the right direction, and just continue moving in that direction. We're here to help you. And again, we used to be disciplined. We're moving away from that. Every time I see a student now, I always try to touch upon something positive. I always check in on their grades. I want to get feedback from them on what's transpired. But we really do want to focus on helping people. So if you're taking that first step, and it looks like a lot of people have, take that second step.
Yeah. I mean, again, with 720 responses, and then from the personal responses where it was an open-ended 620 at least, as Dan said, it is a great first step to at least admit to, again, it is anonymous, but it's the idea of saying, I might need some help, and, that kind of feeling of loneliness or hopelessness in a sense. But again, the whole point of this is to create that dialogue, and not just to leave it out there. Mm-hmm. But the next step would be, okay, let me go speak to somebody, because you've identified an issue, a need for it. And again, going back to that first question, I find myself hoping someone would check in on my mental health more than usual, and 41% have noticed that. That's an identification of a potential need. Mm-hmm. So the next step is to be proactive about it, to take care of yourself. This is a time to actually be, it's not selfish, but to take care of yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You can't just, there's so many students and there's so many different things going on, but as Alima said, just go down there and just start the conversation. Just have a seat and just say, look, I was reflecting about this. I got the poll. I answered the question, and I think it would be beneficial to me to have a conversation. It's not going to be bad. It's going to be helpful. It's going to be therapeutic. That's what's going to happen.
Look, before I started all of this, I gathered 5,000 1-minute audio responses to 120 to 160 big life questions. And one of the responses that just blew me away, and I've mentioned this before, is that a young lady said, I would not be here right now living this incredible life with my beautiful children, my amazing husband, and experiencing life in all its glory. Mm-hmm. I nearly didn't experience that because I just didn't want to deal with it, and almost checked out years ago. And I got a bunch more responses like that. So but it doesn't do good in my archives here. I need to get it up on the website so you can access it. So as and when I'm able to, we'll get all that content up.
That's a good point to bring up, though, Andrew, as far as addressing it. It's not something that we're going to look at and be like, oh, we're just going to ignore that, right? Because this is what it's about. Mm-hmm. It's about reaching people. It's about
S.E.L. Learning how to deal with those things that we don't know how to deal with, because we got no one to model it for us. Maybe we don't have that mother figure or that father figure, or maybe they're not up to the task of being the best. I know I've messed up and I haven't done the best job over the years of being the best dad. But look, it's we hopefully we live and grow. But you reaching out and taking that first step, just like Dan said, you're expressing yourself. That's cracking the lid and kind of letting your emotions out a little bit. And maybe you meet with Alima or the likes of, or even reach out to any one of us. I'm a friendly. Even today, I take someone out in the hallway and just said, "Dude, I'm probably one of the most helpful individuals you're going to find, but you're putting me in a place that I don't want to be very helpful right now. So, but yeah, look, and we're all here. So if you need to reach out, please do.
Good point. So just going back into some of the things here, I think it's important that, there's such, we've never had this. I was shocked at how many responses did the open-ended responses.
I was blown away.
Yeah, it really is a lot, and really going into some depth about what's going on, the idea of feeling more in a slump. Somebody addressed the idea of having the pandemic impact them more than they had previously thought, and I think that's a great reflection as well, because I do feel like now that we've gotten to this point in the year, the honeymoon period is over, the kind of unknown period is over, and now we're getting into that end of the first trimester. Students are really panicking about grades now, and a lot of them are complaining about last minute assignments and last minute grades and post tests and whatever, and things that are due. But then on the other side of it, there's many students who feel very good right now and very happy and excited about the holiday season, and feeling really good about being back at school, and feeling like it's normal again, and starting up a new season of sports, or going to be in a play. There's a dance show coming up, and all that kind of stuff, tryouts for the spring musical. There's so many things that are happening that students are looking at and saying, this is great. So you really do have the two ends of the spectrum, and I think both sides should be aware of each other.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could have your class literally split half and half between like, this time of year is miserable and this time of year is the best. And to see that there's another side of the coin, I think is important too, for teachers to know too.
I got my class all riled up. They're all really excited. I told them Monday, I said, on Friday, we're going to walk out to my car, my wife's car, because I cut apart the old table that was here and I turned it into a bookshelf. Well, it's not a bookshelf right now. It's just planks of wood. I said, you're going to carry the wood back to class. Then I'm going to put it together in some formation of a shelf. Hopefully it won't fall apart. And they're so excited. So, even the quiet ones, I can't wait just for like a walk out to the tennis courts and come back again. So we'll probably be disturbing everyone's classes as we walk by, but
Again, but you saying that, I think that that's the thing about like this time of year, like you have to shake things up a little bit, especially when it's cold and you're used to doing certain things and now that's taken away from you. It's like you have to really try to implement new things and new coping strategies so that you can get out of the rut that you're kind of in. But you also have to acknowledge the fact that it's okay to be there, because a lot of people are, and it's just adjusting to the time and where we are in the weather. You have to adjust.
yeah.
Also, it's not a bad time to break away from those, not just the rut that you're in, but what you're expecting. So for the person who typically has a difficult time, maybe around the holidays, it doesn't mean that these holidays coming up have to be the same way that the other ones were. You've got to come up with ideas of like carving out your own traditions, maybe if you don't have the traditions that other people have. If you see yourself relative to other people and saying, everybody has this and I don't, it's time to get creative and try to figure out how you can make things a little bit better for yourself and the people around you, and different that if the holidays have been difficult for you, different from those holidays in the past.
What I would suggest for anyone that's struggling is get a little care package up together and go. When I was going through my second divorce, I was living all by myself, and little did I know at that particular time, that doesn't bear to do with anything to do with the story, but there was black mold behind all the furniture, the cabinets, and I was getting sicker and sicker, and I was like, this is how I'm going to go. This is literally how I'm going to go. And I just had an insight that someday, because it was just, I was this close. That's all I knew. And my good friend, Catherine, and her husband came to visit. It was, my birthday blew by, no one came. Thanksgiving came by, no one came. But just like a day after, she swung by with her husband with a plate of food and it was just all beautifully like dessert, whatever it was, maybe something to drink. I don't know. I might be making stuff up now at this point, but it was just such a beautiful. I almost swore then. It was such, but that was only Mr. Jones trying to express how beautiful it was. But it was such a beautiful gesture, and it pulled me out of that slump. And again, you kind of going back to that idea that I've mentioned before with the study, that helping someone else and someone else that sees that,
Yep, sure.
you know, that made them feel good as well.
Right.
So volunteer, get out and give something to someone, even if you feel like you don't have. My wife, the other day, on the way to a Thanksgiving dinner, I actually had 3 pies unbeknownst to the rest of the family. Long story, won't get into that one. I need a new podcast.
Pies?
Well, just about
Yeah, just about
the
pies.
life,
Oh,
the life that I live. So she's talking about this dude at the gas station who's probably going to go at the end of the day to the bar or a diner and meet his mates and have a drink. You know, I go there and I just had a picture in my mind, you know, it's going to be someone that looks like this. And I go there. It completely blew me out of the water. She just chose what that's what this is the reason why I love her. She just chose someone that truly needed love. And she gave him, like, there was napkins, there was plastic forks and spoons and tubs of 2 different soups that she made, and pies. So I gave him like half of my pie and stuff. And it was truly like just a beautiful moment there. And he was like giving all this at the gas pump, and I fell in love with her again all over. You know, just a little bit more, just but it made me. I did nothing apart from watch it.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
You gave half your pie.
that's my that's my wife. You know, I'm there all like all proud, but I did nothing, and she did it all. She it was just brilliant, and it wasn't asked for. It really cost us nothing, and I can only suggest that try that as well.
So let me tell you what I'm doing with this project now, because I'm doing transcendentalism. So again, the premise is all about nature, self-reflection, being idealistic, optimistic, all that kind of stuff, right? So nonconformist. So what I do with this project, it's like a life experience project. So basically I give them a list of things to do, and I give them a journal to write in. And the first thing that they have to do, there's 7 journal entries they have to do, and they have to write about a page for each. The first one is just, what is your expectation for this week, like going into it, knowing what the rules are, whatever. And then the second one is write about yourself, but it has to only be positive. Then write about your family, it all has to be positive. Write about school, all has to be positive. About the future. So I give them different topics, but they only can write positively about each of those topics. Then at the end, they're going to write a reflection of like how the week went. They have to do this for 7 days. So I gave it to them on Wednesday. It's due next Wednesday. The second part is 3 acts of kindness, just like you mentioned. They could do 2 for someone they know, and then 1 has to be for someone they don't know. And they have to write down what they did, who it was for, what was their response to it, and then how did they feel as a result. And the next part is spending 30 minutes in nature, just reflecting in nature, like with no human contact, no technology, just kind of sit there, walk around, do something kind of like just surrounded and engulfed in nature. Then there's a part that they have to write down all the things that they feel happy about, like what makes them happy throughout the week. Just bullet it. So went out to eat with my family, just whatever the little things are, they're just writing them down. And they're always things that are free. Always.
Yeah.
Every single year, the list is always things that deal with their friends and family, that are just simple things that don't usually come to mind when you say like what makes you happy. Usually like when I get blah, right? It's not that at all. It's like hug from so-and-so, whatever, talk to my grandma. And then the last one is writing a letter of gratitude to someone and then sharing it with them. So these are all things that they're gonna do over the course of the week as an assignment. But again, like just like me, I keep all that stuff in mind, and it's like this is a proactive way to improve your mood. Like you're going to be
Absolutely.
writing a letter of gratitude. You're doing it.
There's a toolkit.
Yeah, you're sharing it with someone, and you're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna lift your mood. You're gonna write a letter, write a journal to yourself about how much you like yourself, and you're not gonna talk negatively, and you're gonna feel better. Like you're gonna, it's rewiring your brain. Also, a big part of it too is, by the way, is rejection of materialism and technology is a big part of the Transcendentalism project. So I told them all to write down on the front cover yesterday, what is their average daily screen time, and it better be lower next week. So some talking like 5, 6, 7, 8
I have
hours
a really serious question how long have you been doing this project? Because I have a follow-up question.
for a while.
Have
years.
you ever had a kid that didn't submit it at all? I'm very curious.
No,
Never.
no.
Okay.
It's the easiest thing in the world. It's literally all effort based. There's
that's
not
what I'm
any
saying.
academic part to it. There's not
the
anything.
easy part. I was more so thinking about, has there ever been a kid who's just like, no, I'm not doing it because I've never been in that headspace,
Yeah.
and they were unable.
They'll
to get
do it, but they're not necessarily going to put and my issue is, I tell them every year, I said, look, and I said, most of you are not going to take this seriously. And I said, I'm talking about 2 or 3 people that might really genuinely get like a life-changing experience from this.
Yeah.
It happens every year. I don't know who they're going to be, but every year I get those kids who are like, you know what? And then I shared actually an email with them that I got from a student from 2018. He graduated, who wrote me this long email about 2 weeks before he graduated, saying, you know, thank you. He said, I shut down all my social media. And he said, there's 2 lines in there that were just like magical. He said, I found so much more clarity in my life, and I feel so much more free. And I'm like, look at what this kid who's about to go to college is saying, and how much he's just learned about himself from just disconnecting and kind of taking time to reflect and just to think for himself and to get away from the rat race. And I even shared my class today. I said, in South Korea, there's a place that just opened where people are paying to go sit in a cafe where they have to silence their phone and they can't speak, and they look out a window at trees.
People are paying.
They're paying to do it. And I said, think about the irony. What do we do when we give a kid time out? We take away technology and we put them by themselves in where they have to be
We
quiet.
punish them with the thing that they should be doing.
Think about the irony there. That's insane. They're paying to basically do a punishment that we're doing because they can't stop themselves from being in the rat race. They can't stop working. They can't stop worrying. They can't stop worrying about finances and how much things cost. So they're like, I'm going to pay somebody to hold me accountable to stop what I'm doing because it's chaos. And I want, within the next couple of weeks, maybe next week, I want a whole day on social media.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, this thing that's
Can
going on.
crypto be a part of that?
No, that's fine. We're leaving that alone.
Dude, I need help.
We all do. That's why my numbers are up. But not my money is up. My numbers, so staring at my phone is up. But it's crazy because, again, these students today don't know any different.
No.
And these are kids, these are people who are millennials, 20s, 30s, and 40s in South Korea who are like, I need help. I cannot stop. And it's not okay in their society to stop either. And I said, how easily could we just change South Korea to America in this?
Well, what I thought you were going to touch on was, I don't know if it's the Chinese or the Japanese, but it's a new rule. So they have their own version of Instagram over there. And then every 5 or 10, and as you know, the app, or you might not know, but the app is engineered to just make you scroll.
Right.
And scroll and scroll. And I've done it for hours downstairs. And what they've done is they've instigated, after 5 scrolls, you have to take like a 10-second break. And then after a certain time, there's only educational content available, you know. So they know how much. And I was watching a whistleblower at Facebook talk to I don't know where it was, somewhere in the courts of the US, but she was talking about the social media, Facebook Instagram and the likes. They know what it's doing to young kids.
Yep.
They know.
Yep.
There's incentivization for, is that a word, Dave? Actually, all of you, all three of these
We'll go
guys
with
used to teach individuals, used to teach beautiful people, as I learned in my course, used to teach English, and I'm the only one that's British English, and I'm always messing up my vocab. But yeah, so
But I think that's it. And even for people, if we do talk about this next week, people could go watch, The Social Dilemma.
no,
on
let's
Netflix.
do it.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a fantastic one.
That's something that I
Social media next week. You saw something happen live right here.
Because
Although no
I
one's
told
watching.
the kids to watch that too, and
Yeah.
and most of them didn't because they don't want to know. And I'm showing part of it tomorrow in class because I'm like, you need to know what's going on, and it's exactly what you're talking about. They have people whose complete role is to get people hooked.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact mindset as drug addiction. It's the same exact
So
philosophy.
a little teaser. So Pokemon Go, right? This is one of the aspects I teach in digital media, and it's this cutesy game, and now everyone loves Pokemon. But meanwhile, Burger King, Starbucks are planning to have Pikachu outside because all these kids can go to Pikachu. Oh, I got it. Let's go get something to eat,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what's happening. And it's getting all those, it's getting all the traffic. So where you see all these locations, someone's paying for that Pokemon to be outside.
Yeah.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Coming next week.
Coming next week.
Now I'm back to the discussion. No, but going back to your project, because it's a really great project. I'm
It
happy
is,
that you do
yeah.
it, because it sounds like something that anyone who's out there listening, they could take just those ideas that you
Yeah.
put out there. And even if they are adults, they can be
Yes.
doing these things so that they can reconnect and they can find something during this time that's so difficult that can help them. So I just wanted to go back to that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what does happen. Actually, I've had students, because I have teach juniors. I've had students who come back to me senior year and they said, I'm about to do another week of transcendentalism because I'm overwhelmed. And they give themselves the assignment, and they're just like, I'm doing it again, and they just, to make themselves calm down and to decompress and just kind of like slow down their lives a little bit. Many of the seniors are expressing anxiety about college because they're now they're now in the process of the waiting game. Many of them, they've already sent out their information, so they're just waiting now to hear back. So that's a difficult time for many of them, because they know probably when they see family members, they're going to ask them, where are you going, what are you doing?
Yep.
And it's becoming more real now. I mean, the beginning of the year, they're all kind of like, well, we're back. I haven't seen my friends. Many of them talked about, I haven't seen my friends. I haven't really felt like I've been in high school since my sophomore year or freshman year. And now I finally get back into it, and there's this now it's also almost like the feeling of like knowing it's going to end soon too. It's not the beginning of something, it's approaching towards the end.
I had a talk with my students today just about that very thing, and just to tell them that, don't sweat it. Make sure you take action, keep moving on it, but please don't sweat it. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Just like the countless, millions before you. But I said I didn't sort myself out till I was about 45. And they're like, wait, how long is that?
Is that helpful?
Yeah. No, but one of the
But I it is that's what they don't understand. I talked to my students about something like that as well. I said they keep, like the juniors especially, they always think, and probably the seniors as well, that this is going to doom them if they don't pick the right decision. Like it's over
Yes.
for them.
Yes.
They think if and I said part of this project, this transcendentalism idea, is that each day is a new day. And if you want to change your mind, you go with your instinct, you follow that gut wherever it takes you. But I said so many of them are wired to think about academics. I have to get these grades. If I don't get these grades, I won't go to college. If I don't go to college, I won't be successful. If I don't have money, I'm going to be... It's like they think they're going to wind up doomed.
Yeah.
If they don't...
Catastrophize everything.
Right. So I said that kind of mindset creates a person who forces themselves into a college situation that they're not necessarily prepared for, or a major they don't necessarily even want.
Exactly.
They're paying for it. So they're like, I got to finish this.
Yeah.
They finish it. They're like, I don't even know if I really want to do this. Now I got to get into a career. They get into the career. They don't like that either. But because they have to validate their college version and the high school version of themselves, they plow ahead. And that's why I said, like, look, my three siblings are all doing something in their lives that they like to do, and has nothing to do with what they went to college for.
Yeah.
But how many of these students, the students who I'm teaching right now, are not going to change their plan because they feel like they have to do
stay
the
with
next
plan.
thing? That's
what I hear.
scary.
But that's what I hear every day, all the time. And it's like when I take a step back and I say, okay, you're saying that you want to do this and you want to be a PA, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, is that going to make you happy, or what do you think would make dance would really make me happy?
Right.
Okay, so then why aren't you doing that?
Exactly.
Because my family doesn't want me to
Right,
do that,
that's
or
it.
because
Well,
I'm not
that's
going to
a
be
big part of it.
successful
But
if I do that.
That's a
big part
big
of
one,
it.
though,
Yeah.
isn't it? To
Family.
overcome and go against those things that your family wants you to do. Look, I mean, one of the projects that we do in graphic design is we have fun and we create like a vision board or a dream board, and just kind of put something to aim for on the wall, no matter how hokey you might think it is. It's always funny. I can literally look back. I've got stuff cataloged on my phone for, I want this car, and I didn't get that car. I actually got a more adult version of that. I wanted a red Mazda Miata because that's what one I had in my first marriage.
That's going to be on your bingo.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a different red car, and it was better. But all these little things that I put up and I aim for, and like years ago when we were young, right, we put posters on the wall. Well, I had Donny Osmond on my wall,
Justin Timberlake. Just saying.
Who'd you have?
I had sports
gonna
players, then
say
I had
football
Jennifer
player.
Lopez.
There you go.
I don't think I had anything. No.
Picture of broccoli.
Abraham Lincoln. Like I had Lincoln.
Honest Abe, perfect. What
No,
kind of
but
pose
it-
was he in? Like,
but it's
the
these-
axe?
It's these
He's wearing a
things.
swimsuit. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's just a choice.
Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah.
the swimsuit edition, holding his top hat,
No, I don't think president.
no hands.
This is going backwards. Yeah.
On this podcast.
God. Yeah.
Laughing. That is something that you
Yeah.
need during this time of year.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Laughing is a good thing. This is what happens
This
when
is why we should have been live getting responses on that.
you imagine having an adult beverage while doing this show.
Power hour.
Yeah,
That's what you should be doing. Every minute.
that's
Take a
when
swig.
all the truth comes out. But yeah, but just having that, something to kind of cling on to, something to aim for, it takes your mind off the drudgery. Like, okay, I'm working hard right now. If you don't if you're not
Yeah.
aiming for that thing, then you're just going through a hard time. You're having a hard time. But if you're aiming for it and you wake up and you see it, I pasted a check for over $200,000 above my bed because I heard like so many people do it. You wake up, you see it, and to Andrew Jones, $200,000 for services rendered. And it's the type of thing that I was like, I think I'm thinking too small. So I took that check down.
Put a bigger one? No.
No, now it's just in my head. I got self-conscious when the cleaning lady would come over.
So we know what Andrew wants for the holidays. 200K.
No, that's
Should do it, huh?
that's chump change these days, I guess.
I'll take it then.
How's the crypto?
It's all down. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Did we get to that? I feel like we missed something.
Well, I mean, it was good to know how many students identified that they do feel like season change is connected to mood change, just because that means they know it's also temporary. I think that's important too. It's not
That's a good
something
point,
that they're
yeah.
looking at it as like this is doomsday. This is just kind of the ebbs and flows of life. And then also just the idea of like, the holiday season coming up, and most of them saying they're excited about that. So I think they kind of view those as two separate things. Like the winter season,
Yeah.
like the cold right now, what's happening for the first couple weeks of December probably. And then there's after. I think what's going to happen is if we gave this exact thing when the trimester ended, I think that there would be
different feel.
a lot of a different, and this is the thing though, for the schools out there, for people, this is what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Our higher ups should know that, take stock of what's
Yeah.
going on in your school. Like what,
Yeah.
have a finger on the pulse of the student body, of the teachers, like get to know what's going on, because sometimes we just, there's that head down, we're just doing everything normally as it's always done. This time of year, we're having this, we're doing that. And there's not really any sense of check-in about how people are feeling. And then you start losing people that way.
I think I think a lot of teachers are guilty. This is what I've seen over the years, is they don't want to disturb the dust because they don't want to reveal things that then they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that we're not trained, right? We're glorified parental roles sometimes. I've had children flip out in years past saying, well, you're actually, since you're with me, I'm looking out for you. I'm responsible for what happens. And it's almost like being a bit of a parent. You're not my parent, So yeah, I've had many a time a response saying, oh, we don't want that because then but that's the old mindset that really we need to flip our thinking on that. And we need a bit more training on how to deal with situations.
I also think you can't be afraid to ask questions and ask for feedback. I think that this stuff is great. And I always even tell the students, if you're going to run a pizza place, you've got to ask the customers how the pizza is.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you're going to be out of business, and to pretend that.
I love that.
Well, look, I mean, I think that a lot of times people do that. They don't want to ask. They don't want to hear the answer. And then they scratch their head and think, well, how come that didn't work out?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, that would have been a good time. As my father used to say, and he was a doctor for about 41 years, I'd often hear him say that would have been a good time for a straight answer. If there's an issue, if there's something that needs to be attended to, you kind of can't wait on it. You kind of can't. You don't want to pretend it's not there. You've got to get as much feedback as you possibly can get if you want to make informed decisions about what you do.
And I want to throw in, this was given to the kids, but think about how the teachers are also feeling with everything that's going on. And I think that I just had this conversation with a student the other day. They came in, actually the student that you directed to me. And I was like, you can't get along with everyone every day. And there's some teachers that are going to have bad days, just like you're going to have bad days, and I think that even more so right now with this seasonal aspect, we have to be aware that kids are going to be kind of on edge, and we can be the same way. So we have to give each other that respect.
It's funny because I've said this a bunch of times, even at the time clock. I think I've said this to you. When you're going through baggage claim at the airport, a lot of times you see the happy face, then the stoic face, and then the sad face, and you're supposed to just tap it, right? You're just supposed to have it. I almost feel like we should have that at the school just to get a feel for. On the property, are most people? I'm surrounded by most people who are happy, or most people just kind of or. How many people are angry or kind of bummed out right now? Just to get a feel for that. And I think that when you get too much of one of those sad faces, you've got to say, geez, well, we've got to find out what the problem is.
Right.
A lot of people hitting a little sad face.
Right. And that's kind of what this is doing, though, too, is that it's identifying there are a lot of the same stressors when it comes to grades, for example. So why aren't there conversations being had en masse to the school, to the student body about grades and whether it's that important for college? Because I said to them the other day, I said, listen, you just came off of a year and a half of pandemic learning. Do you think that you're better for that or worse for that? Probably worse for that. I said, okay. I said, how much stock do you think colleges are going to put into grades for when you apply, knowing you had a year and a half of at-home learning where you probably have elevated grades to begin with? Do you really think that's going to be the most important thing that they're going to be looking at? And they're kind of like, oh, maybe not. And I said, but that's what you're putting as priority number one in your life every single day, like the grade you have. Then I asked them about, the plethora of subjects you're learning, right? And how different they are. And I said, how many of you are going to be an English major? Nobody. How many of you are going to be English teachers? Nobody. How many of you are going to do anything with writing? Nobody. And I said, okay, so if you don't have an A in my class, should you really feel that bad that you're in a class you don't even care that much about? You're just here because you want to get a good grade, and it's an honors class, so it's elevated as far as the weight system, but then you're upset that you have a B or a C. It'd be like if I'm playing a sport that I'm not any good at and I don't really care about it and I don't do well in it, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Right.
Right.
It's like, sorry, I don't do, backflips, on ice skates. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
But all the silliness aside, being solid in, English, writing, grammar, all that stuff is such a great thing. It's
It is,
probably
but that's
one
not
of
what
the
they're,
most.
but that's not what they're
That's not
saying.
their I get it.
They're
I get
just
it.
worried about the grade.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep saying. You need to learn, but if I taught them less and they learned less, but they had A's, they would
They'd
be
be
completely
satisfied.
they'd be completely fine.
Yeah.
And they would love me for just because they all have A's. But because my grade is, for most of them, is their lowest grade, and they're accurate grades, it's based on their abilities, not on their effort. They're all like up in arms, like, and now they're like, it's funny because it's ironic that so many students are like, we're so stressed because of that, how much work we have. And I'm doing the opposite, saying you don't have anything to do. And then many of them are coming up to me saying, can we get more work to do because I want to get my grade? And I'm like, no, I'm not giving you anything else. Sorry, you're done.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is.
Wow. Yeah.
There's some stress for them.
This would have been a lovely show to have had with live individuals.
Yeah,
I know
people were ready to fire it up.
Yeah, I know Maureen stopped me in
Yeah.
the hallway and she said 8:00. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, she wanted. Yeah, she wanted to be on the chat. She had some.
Aw.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna mess with stuff. I'm just gonna put it up as we just the basic YouTube, and I'll put it out from there each week. But it's just too many. I teach this, by the way. Sorry for everyone that missed it, but yeah. So. Yeah, there's a lot. There's so much to cover in this. Every topic we cover, we can revisit again and again, because there's just so many different angles to it.
And there's a lot of crossover, right? I mean, I think a lot of times in our conversation, we refer back to things we said on other podcasts and say, well, this links back to that.
Yeah, yeah,
Next week's the big one.
yeah. Social media.
Social media, folks.
Oh, which ties into happiness, comparing
Identity.
yourselves, identity. Yeah,
Envy, all of those things. Hits on every emotion.
Everything.
yeah.
All the things. But no, don't forget from this episode, if you need help, please make
Yes.
sure that you reach out to someone, right? I always have to go back to that. See your school counselor. We have great SACs at our school. Make sure that you're reaching out to someone, getting the help that you need.
Yeah. You know the emails. All right. Don't act silly. We're here to help. I'm in room B204. Let's put up. What room are you in?
Main guidance across from the C Wing Media Center.
FX 222.
Student success, and you don't have to knock. Just come in.
How about that? And I heard he's
Some
got.
people
I heard he's
knock.
got cookies.
No, it throws us off when people knock. We're like, well, what is that? Is that a mouse? Come in.
All right. Are we done?
Yeah, that's
We're
it.
good.
Thank you so
Have a
much,
good one.
everyone.
See you
Till
next
then.
week.
All right.
See you next week.